But let me take the opportunity to welcome you to the Workers' Voice for November 2nd, 2023. On the leadership from the Leadership for Party, on which each and every one of you happy independence and welcome to Workers' Voice. Well, leader Dr. Thompson Fountain, or Deputy Leader Mr. Clement Marcel, or President Mr. Lennox Linton, or Deputy or Vice President Mrs. Francisca Joseph, and every other member of the United Workers Party. Welcome to Q95 on the Workers' Voice. But as we always do, we always touch some folks who have lost loved ones and even compliment and wish people happy birthday. But tonight we will say extend sympathy to the family of Mrs. Ruflin Riviere Frank of Marigot, who passed away about a week or two ago, to her husband, Jerry Frank, her brother. I remember thinking of her brother, the police officer, as well. And Ruflin, I met Ruflin maybe a week before she passed away around the Whitchurch area, and we spoke. I walked her to a vehicle. We worked together at DBMC, and also she worked at DASPA and everything. The reviews you about Ruflin, she was a very nice person, wherever she worked, and whenever you encounter that individual, I just want to extend sympathies to her former colleagues, work colleagues at DBMC and DASPA, her family, her husband, Mr. Frank, as I said, and Riviere is an inspector now. I think Riviere is her brother. I think he's based in Marigot. I also want to extend sympathies to, yeah, yes, Jerry Frank. Yeah. Yes, I just want to extend sympathies as well to the family of Mabel, I remember her name from Fonkole, that is the mother of Olivia Ferrara and Eugenia Murphy. I know I visited her maybe a week before she passed away. She always asked for me. My DBMC days, I'm the mother of Clarence as well. I used to go there and visit. So she remembered me and I passed by. I was happy to pass by and say hello. And a week after, I was told that she passed away. And also to the family of Bumpy Del Sol will be laid to rest sometime next week. So I just want to extend a phone call. I just want to extend sympathies to him. And I will also take the opportunity to extend congratulations to the new CEO of NCCU, National Cooperative Credit Union. He's from Salisbury. The young man. I just want to congratulate Mr. Curve Charles on being appointed the new Chief Executive Officer of the National Cooperative Credit Union. As one, I know his mom is very proud, Deltina, Felix in Salisbury, and everybody else in the family, the entire community of Salisbury would like to extend best wishes to Kurt on his new undertaking as the CEO of NCCU. So once again, welcome to the Workers' Voice. It's Independence Time under the theme Anno Celebrate. Anno Celebrate is a wet outside, wet Thursday night. Those of you who are going to Katai or Creole, reggae on the boardwalk in Lale Coco, just enjoy the time. Be safe on the road as you navigate. A lot of traffic in Mao when it's coming up to Roseau, so just want you to be safe on the road. If you're drinking, don't drive. You're driving, don't drink. And if you know you're going to drink, ensure that you have a designated driver to take you to your point of entertainment and back home safely. Let me welcome you once again to the Workers' Voice. In studios with me tonight from the Rosenhof constituency, Mr. Danny Aluge.
Good evening, Hector. Good evening, wherever you're listening from. Rosenhof. Good evening, the entire community of Dominica, wherever you're listening from, whether it's the Caribbean, United States, the UK. Let me say happy independence to one and all. I want to start off by extending condolences to the family of Hesketh Bumpy Del Sol. You know, that family, they've been through a lot. That family. And I really want to tell them to hang in there. God never gives you more than you can bear. I'm sure you're getting a lot of community support. So to the entire family circle, I want to tell you, in time, God will heal your hearts and He will heal your home. Hesketh was really a dear friend of mine, one of my key. He was involved in sports, in community, what a man. So I want to Daphne Sinfair, his daughter, his wife, and the entire Del Sol family and the Fokole community. we want to extend condolences to you. Another shocking news I got yesterday was the death of Roy Doctorow. He was a dear friend of mine. Can you imagine? Every morning he would send me free prayers. And I really noticed yesterday I didn't receive the prayers from him. It was, and then later on, while I was sat in a meeting, the meeting at the Public Service Union Hall, I got a call from a friend of mine, Don Corriett, where he told me he heard of the death of Roy Doctor, but he's not sure, so he will confirm. But then it was announced on Q95. So, it's very sad. So to his wife, his children, his brothers, to the community of Goodwill, and wherever you are listening from, he has lots of relatives in the States, that was a shocker to me. There's so many deaths before I can really recover from one, because last week I buried my uncle Cyril, and there were 2 or 3 in the St. Joseph community.
Yeah.
So, sometimes it's hard to really keep up with the deaths. But to all those who are grieving, I want to tell you, that, in time, God will take care of you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Luge. Yes, we had the burial of Max Motuti St. Joseph. And also you had Miss Carol Carly, who was laid to rest as well on Tuesday in Roseau. I think the service was at the St. Alphonsus Roman Catholic Church. Yes, and also let me just extend happy birthday greetings to Adriana Kazimi Edo of Salisbury. She resides in St. Thomas, and she got a surprise birthday today in Salisbury. So I know they're enjoying themselves still. I just want to wish a happy birthday. Yes, in studios with me also from the Marigot constituency, the president of our party, Mr. Lennox Linton.
Good evening, Honorable Hector John. Good evening, Honorable Daniel Luge.
Good evening.
Happy Independence season to y'all and the people of Dominica. I too condole with the families of Ruth and Revere Frank and Bumpy Del Sol and Carol Carlisle, and to the families of all those who have lost loved ones at this time and are mourning the loss of their loved ones. We condole with them. I just find that, I don't know if it's as I'm getting old, but I just find a lot of people are dying these days. And a lot of people I know very well are just passing. And it's that kind of time. But it's nice to be with you, gentlemen, and good to be with the people of Dominica again on this Workers' Voice, the eve of the birthday of Dominica, the 45th birthday of Dominica. And I guess tonight, Hector, we will talk a little bit about the time where we find ourselves right now. It's very interesting. We've been 45 years as an independent nation, and 23 of those years have been under the stewardship of the Dominica Labour Party. And I think if you are objective and fair, you would be concerned that, especially in the last 5 to 10 years, we seem to be making some backward steps rather than becoming more independent and consolidating our position as an independent nation. We seem to be sinking into a new kind of dependency, almost like we've been recolonized all over again. And that's not a good thing. It's not something that we should be proud of. But, it's not something that the party in office will want to talk about or will want to hear people talking about. But the truth is the truth. And the way this particular political party has gone about the affairs of governance of the country in the last 20 years has not been good for Dominica. It has put us in a very precarious state. The economy is in a slide. People are finding it harder and harder to survive. The quality of life in the country overall is not really improving. It's not going anywhere. A lot of our talent and capability is still moving offshore because the opportunities are getting less and less and less to earn a decent living in Dominica. Every other country in the Caribbean around us seem to be more capable of employing their people than we are. And yet you get this constant big boast that we're doing better than everybody else. We have the best this, we have the best that. And when we talk these days about an international airport, which we are the last to have in the English-speaking Caribbean, it's almost as though we are the first country that is going to have an international airport and we're ahead of everybody. The fact of the matter is that we are last. And in the words of the former housing minister, was he deputy prime minister or something?
Yes.
Reginald Austri at one point?
Former Parappa Cottage.
Yeah. Dominica has been last for too long in this world and behind in too many things. That was his commentary after 20 plus years of the stewardship of the Labour Party. And it was interesting today at the diaspora gathering, the tall tales that you heard about how well Dominica is doing and the opportunities that exist for our brothers and sisters in the diaspora to partner with us and to invest in Dominica and so on, as though those things have just come about. This party has been in office for 24 years. It will be 24 years in January, so they've been in office. And when you hear the representatives talk and talk about opportunities for our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, it's almost as though they have just come into office. So the question arises, what have you done for 24 years? How have you developed that diaspora resource that is so important to us and how we move ahead in the future? What have you done outside of paying for some people in the diaspora to come home to vote every election cycle and ensure that you have enough numbers that you pay for in certain constituencies, especially marginal constituencies, that allow you to come back with the overall result in your favor? Apart from doing that, using the diaspora vote in that way, how have you made any progress? What have you done with the relationship? How has it benefited people more than it did 23 years, 24 years ago when you came into office? And all the tall tales that have been told about going back to the early days of Rosie Douglas and the Diaspora Conference and so on, and the diaspora policy, and even now with the appointment of what was the position of this lady this ambassador from Wesley? Diaspora Affairs?
Afinia Benjamin.
Ambassador for Diaspora Affairs or something?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yes, sir.
What is that doing? What is that accomplishing? Right. So on the eve of the 45th anniversary of independence, quote unquote, you had the government interacting with our people, our brothers and sisters in the diaspora who visiting for the independence season. The government found it impossible to have an interaction, a genuine interaction with them. At that gathering, you heard the Prime Minister talking about people being treated as second class. And some people in Dominica want to regard the brothers and sisters in the diaspora as second class, suggesting that they don't want them to vote in elections in Dominica. But the same people he's telling, other people are seeing you as second class. He is subjecting them to second class treatment right there in the conference by refusing to allow them to ask a question to him or to any of his ministers in the live broadcast of the event. The questions were to be one-on-one with the ministers of government after the cameras were turned off, after the mics were turned off. So nobody would hear what you have to say, what the diaspora people have to say to the government ministers, but everybody can hear what the government ministers have to say to the diaspora people, which is basically Hector John, Danny Luge, second-class treatment, treating people like they are less than you. They're not as important as you. What is important is what you have to tell them, but what they have to say to you is not important enough to be heard. And what was disappointing for me was that our brothers and sisters from the diaspora seemed to love it. It was great for them that they were disrespected in that way. And it was all right because the disrespect came from the government, maybe the government that the ruling party that they support, the ruling party that will send them a ticket next time to come down to vote. For me, unacceptable. We don't treat our people like that. And I'm looking forward to the day when all that will come to an end. Because this constant disrespect of people, this constant using people for your personal benefit, and this constant raping and plundering of the resources of the country for your personal benefit, which has been a hallmark of the last, especially the last 10, 15 years of this administration, has to come to an end because it has put the country in a very precarious position. And it's not what we should be talking about on the eve of the quote-unquote anniversary of independence, but we have to be real about this and ask ourselves, what is it that we stood for on the 3rd of November in 1978? And what have we really accomplished since then along those lines? There's so much more that we did back then that we no longer do for ourselves. And somebody was making the observation earlier, even simple water-based products like Juicy and 7-Up. We used to produce them back then. We no longer do that. We have to depend on the outside. We have to depend on people, the outside, to produce for us water-based product in a country with the best and most abundant surface water, quality surface water per head of population in the entire Eastern Caribbean. But we're importing water products that we made years and years ago. We've lost a lot in the 23-year period of quote-unquote independence under this administration. And right now, we are faced with perhaps the most glaring example of the incompetence of the administration and the fact that it is working in other people's interest as opposed to the interest of the people of Dominica that it is sworn to serve.
On your point, Mr. Linton, that we've lost a lot, I just wanted to make a brief comment. Today I was seated in a doctor's office and a lady came in and, by her interaction, it seemed to me that she was coming straight out of the meeting with the diasporans. Mm. So I was making the point to her, when you live out of Dominica for a long while and you get in one picture from one side, it's always good to try to understand what's going on in Dominica. For example, you might see a great looking hospital building, but the truth is, when you get in there, basic things like plaster, basic things, you have to send the person in the hospital would have to be sending family members to go buy that, go get paracetamol, go get bandage, go get gauze, and then, a little further to your point. I mean, think of what we've lost. Agriculture is on the down. We've lost bananas. Dominica probably is the island with the least tourist arrivals and overnight visitors in the entire Caribbean. The cruise season has just opened, and that's something that's positive, and I'm happy for the Dominican economy. But what about all what we were producing? You mentioned the soft drinks, the hucksters used to be sending out so much fruit. So really and truly, there's a serious contraction in the Dominican economy that some people who only visit are unaware of. And you don't want to be bashing your country, But you want to know that I want to know that my child and my children rather and my grandchildren have an opportunity to make it in their own country. And if we are in a situation where we can't provide employment for our people, when we see that every project is undertaken by foreigners in our country, we have a problem and we must speak about it.
No, it's a very serious problem, because today again, I heard it loud and clear, this question of who likes the country and who doesn't like the country, who is undermining the country and who is lifting it up, etc. And who is trying to take bread from the mouth of the people of Dominica, simply because they criticize the way that the government goes about certain things. But the government has to understand that in governance, people are going to have issues with the choices you make about certain things you want to do for them. And sometimes people are going to want to tell you, no, that's not what we want, and that's not how we want it done. This is what you, because the people are in charge ultimately. And you have to learn to govern in a way that is respectful of the wishes of the people. Right now, what you have is a very ugly situation developed in the last 23 years, where to raise a concern about things that should go right for your country becomes a criticism of Roosevelt's carrot. And if you criticize the way Roosevelt's carrot is going about certain things, then the feedback is, the response is, you are tearing down your country and you don't like your country. So let me, tonight I ask a question. When we have a matter like citizenship by investment, which in the last 5-10 years has become the biggest revenue earner for the country, and a significant amount of that money that we are earning from the sale of our passports, our citizenship, is passed over to the control of foreigners by Roosevelt's carrot. Who is taking bread from the mouths of the people of Dominica? Is it the person who tells you the money belonging to the country must be in the treasury of the country to be spent from the treasury of the country? That's what he says. He says the person who is saying what is right for Dominica is taking bread from the mouths of the people, but he who is causing the money to stay overseas under foreign control is the one that is doing the right thing for Dominica. And we, the people of Dominica, have a responsibility to understand these issues and to say clearly to these people who are running the affairs of government at the time, that at this time, that this is not good enough. And we cannot sink any further into the dependency that you have plunged us in. You're not going to do anything about it. It is our country. And therefore, we are accepting the responsibility to rescue our country and pull it out of that spiral of dependency that you have plunged us into. It is unacceptable. It is unacceptable that one man, Anthony Hayden, with a company, Montreal Management Company, can have all that control over billions of dollars that belong to the people of Dominica, and we as a people have decided we're going to remain quiet about it. We can't remain quiet about it. We have to insist that right be done by the people of Dominica. And as the EU is suggesting to us, the monies from citizenship by investment, which has come at huge sacrifice to the people of Dominica, must come into the country and must be spent from the country. There was talk about the international airport. We've heard about an international airport from the Labour Party government from since the time that it came into office. They were going to build it somewhere in Portsmouth, they said. And then they said it was too expensive. They met all the plans there completed by November of 1998 for an international airport. And now, these days, they talk about the international airport as though, well, it's the first one being built anywhere in the world. What we are concerned about is the extent to which, again, we are losing our independence. It is our money that we have worked hard for, that we have sacrificed our citizenship and put it on sale in the international community for. And yet, that money, those funds are under the control of Anthony Hayden, and he's doing what he wants. We have heard that of the $1.3 billion that they have estimated for the airport, 370 million has already been spent. There's still people who can't get paid for their land and so on, can't get paid for the properties that were acquired for the acquisition of the airport. No soil studies have been done. We don't know what the design of the airport will be because we do not have completed soil studies, but we have already spent $370 million. So people are making money, not Dominicans, by the way. The Dominicans are making a few little pennies here and there, but the bulk of that money is going overseas, again, to foreigners, in addition to the $200 million every year that leaves Dominica and goes to employ foreigners in jobs in Dominica that Dominicans can do. When you are presiding over a situation like that, who is taking bread from the mouths of Dominica? Who is it that does not love Dominica? Who is it that is treating Dominica like second-class citizens? And yet, while these truths are before us, it seems that there are many in our midst who just will not understand. Look at what has happened, Hector John, with the public officers of Dominica. Over 1,700 public officers working for the state right now received no adjustment to their salary at the end of September. But there's a big talk about the 2,940 that received an average of 6%, right? And nothing at all about the ministers of government and the prime minister who took 20 and 30% salary increase, salary adjustment for themselves. So help me understand, how are we better off now? How are we more independent now? Because an independent country is about independent people. And people who don't have to complain about whether bread is being taken from their mouths or not, because they have bread, okay? They can give themselves bread. Right? How are we better off when the prime minister and his cabinet is so abusive of the public interest and so hell-bent on pushing people further and further into dependency on handouts? When you take 30% salary increase for yourself and you condemn some of the public sector to 6% increase and some to 0% increase, what are you doing to them? Because you have taken 20 and 30%, you know what cost of living in Dominica is, and you know what it takes for you to survive and be comfortable. But what is good for you is not good for the other people. So there we come again to who loves Dominica. We come again to the question of who is treating Dominicans like second class, or who is taking bread from their mouth. Because when you leave over 1,700 people with nothing, the ability to put bread on their table becomes less. So you're taking bread from them, you're preventing them from eating a bread, while you are living in a mansion that costs them $70,000 a month, while they're maintaining for you a fleet of vehicles for yourself and your family, and while they're paying you an increase in salary of 30%. You're taking that from them, and up till now, you have refused to say that you have taken these salary increases. Up to today, it was said again that the public officers, almost 3,000 of them, will get 6% across the board, and some of them as much as 13%. But no mention that level 1 and non-established employees, over 1,700 of them, get nothing, and no mention either of the 30 and 20% taken by the government. and the Prime Minister.
Hector, I suspect you might take a break in a while, but when we come back, I would like about 3 minutes just to comment on the World Creole Music Festival.
All right. Thank you very much. You're listening to the Workers' Voice in studios with our president, Mr. Lennox Linton, and also Mr. Danny Luge from the Rosenhof constituency. And we are touching some very important issues with the salary, and the discussion has to continue about the salaries because somebody said to me today that we're speaking about percentages. Let us speak about dollars and let people understand how much money that they'll be taking away, extra they'll be getting a month and at the end per annum. And for people to begin to understand the type of monies these individuals are taking extra from the salaries. So just want you to stay local. It's 23 to 9. We're here up to 9 o'clock. It's Independence Day Eve of our 45th anniversary of independence under the theme annual celebration. And I say good evening to Mr. John Foy in Kulibi Street, Lanco Kulibi Street, and also Hetty Loda. Welcome back to Dominic and all the others, Mr. Winston Prosper and Morrison and all the others. Good evening to you, Mr. and Mrs. Erickson Joyce down there in Placerville, Kulibi Street. T. Sakafet. Good evening to each and every one of you. Let me just welcome Mr. Linton raised several points in terms of the different areas, aspects of our economy that have been affected and our public. My biggest problem before I go to Danny is my biggest concern is the silence, the deafening silence of public officers and on this issue. You know, the government has not defended it. No minister, no one in the cabinet or in Skerritt's team has defended that or say it's not true. No one, absolutely no one. But it's not on paper. There's no documentary evidence of it. But they got paid. And why it is difficult for public officers who over the years is 0.5%, nothing at all for the 3 years, or a double bubble here and there, and everybody's silent. How can I fight on your behalf or speak on your behalf when you're afraid to speak for yourself?
When you ask what are the figures, I think you should ask our president to talk about the actual figures, what it is that the prime minister get, what it is that the ministers of government.
$3,000 extra, we understand, for the prime minister, $1,600 extra per month for his ministers of government. Now, these are individuals in the government who, government ministers, they have a combined travel and entertainment allowance already of $2,240. All right. They have salaries of close to $8,000.
So that's $10,000.
The prime minister, $10,000. All right. So if you take the $8,000 salary plus the $2,240 for the combined travel and entertainment, you up to $10,400 thereabout. Okay.
How much?
No, 10,240 thereabout, and then that money. Okay, when you look at the members of the cabinet, and we're including their special advisor, special envoy, consultant, and so on, every month they are costing the Treasury at the moment somewhere around $200,000 plus $60,000. That's about $260,000, and they are increasing among them by $35,900. Let's say $36,000 a month, and they will have $36,000 per month, which would take the monthly amount up to $292,600. $771. That's for the cabinet of ministers. So now the cabinet that used to cost us about $3 million, the cost is now up to $3.5 million per year, which is about $293,000 a month. Right? Each of them
So what increase by
getting in the region of, well, some of them 10,000. The prime minister up to about 13,000. The other ministers 11,800 thereabout, and life is nice. Poor people are suffering, and they pay absolutely no attention to those at the lowest end of the scale who are having the hardest, who enduring the hardest, the most difficult struggle to survive in the economy of Dominica that they have sent into a tailspin. They know what the difficulties are. They know what they need to do for themselves, but they don't know what should be done for other people whom they continue to use. And one of the sad things about us that we have to correct is that this business of participating in your oppression, this business of helping people to oppress you or praising and applauding those who are oppressing you is not good for development. We're never going to improve the quality of life in Dominica or improve our resiliency as a people if we sit back and watch people that we give the power to govern oppress us and then somehow succeed in convincing us to be participants in our oppression, which is what is going on right now with this public service adjustment of wages.
Let's listen to this. Let's listen to the figures. You said that the monthly, they're going to collectively, they're going to increase the take-home pay by $36,000.
Mm-hmm.
$36,000 by 12. That is for a year.
Mm-hmm.
That is $442,000. If you give an NEP worker or someone $1,000, just $1,000, you'll be given about $4,320 people $1,000 in that year. But if you break it down by the month, you're going to get about by 12, you're going to get a few hundred young people that you can get employed by that money, that extra money. A few hundred young people that you can employ with that $442,000 that this cabinet of ministers are taking extra for themselves. You see how many young people you can get employed in that money, and that is what people want to hear. The figures, how it affects the homes. How many young people can get out of the street by $1,000 while you increase. You don't increase public servants who really working hard. People, a public officer told me, Mr. John, I work for 42 years. I'm working, and I only get $42 or something like that. Increase extra per month. But you hear ministers who came there, not a year as yet. Some of them have never worked. They have not paid taxes. Getting, and they're not supposed to get that. It's illegal because they're not they're not public officers. They're members of parliament. That is why some years ago an adjustment was there. The committee with Mr. Frederick Barron, Attorney at Law David Bruni, and Mr. Patrick Pemberton, who organized the salaries and make some adjustments. And we sit there, and public officers are not saying anything. I mean, it's mind-boggling for me.
Well, it's sad because this same group of people who have taken these increases onto themselves, $1,600 a month, $3,000 a month additional on their salaries, the same people are the ones who have destroyed the Citizenship by Investment program. Mm-hmm. Those are the ones who have ensured that the program is not operated with the due diligence standards that should be applied. And those are the ones who've caused the passports of Dominica to end up in the hands of crooks and criminals around the world. And it is the reason for which we have lost visa-free access into the United Kingdom. And the threat is looming that we will lose it to other countries in the countries of the European Union as well. We also have a significant difficulty with the way in which this group of people that have taken these hefty increases in salary have been taking care of the funds coming from the Citizenship by Investment Program. They have not been able to answer any of our questions.
No.
And they have not been able to account for the $6.4 billion that is missing from the revenues we have received over the last 7 years. But notwithstanding that, they're taking these big increases in salary and they are leaving the people working in the public service to suffer and to struggle. They don't like the people, they use the people. And it is time for Dominicans to get rid of this administration and ensure that they have people running the affairs who will do a better job of looking out for the interest of ordinary people.
Good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice.
Yeah, good evening, Spurs. Good evening, Mr. Linton.
Good evening, sir.
Mr. Luque.
Good evening.
You know, I've listened to you guys carefully, but you know, I mean, maybe I can go there and you can't, or you prefer not to. There's something psychologically wrong with this guy, you know, and he seems to be already in campaign mode, and he is targeting our children at the youth rally. He went up to the microphone, he said what he had to say about his AM and PM working all the time, and then his song was playing during the break. He's targeting the children, the youth. That is telling me that Roosevelt Skerrit has no intention of resigning or leaving politics anytime soon. And then you hear him at the meeting with the diaspora or diasporans, and it's the same thing. He is brainwashing them, taking ahead to try to convince them that it is the opposition that has stalled the CBI and not him. So I'm very happy to hear Mr. Linton clarifying it, but we know how these things work. It seems like once Skerrit says something, everybody's brainwashed, Google Gaga, and they don't want to hear anybody else. So it's a real challenge in one way, but in another way, if anybody has any sense, they will see through it. Now, maybe people choose not to see through it and not do anything, but I guess that's their choice. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much for calling in. Our numbers are 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097. Digital number 616-4257, 616-4257. Overseas number 305-432-9624, 305-432-9624. And you can also WhatsApp 265-4334, 265-4334. Good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening,
This
sir.
is Boots on the ground.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, very powerful panel, and the discussion is very, very interesting. My call is to really highlight something called cost of living index. I would like Mr. Linton, when it's possible, to get one or two of the union leaders and to discuss the cost of living index as to the ratio that we have been paying our people's salaries and increments over the past years. Because it seems as if the cost of living index is only affecting one set of people. And the one set of people are the people from the top. Now the Malawi that have to buy bread, one bread now is $1.50 and $2, $3 and $4 a bread. So I don't understand why, when it comes to increasing salaries, the people from the lowest bracket now is discarded, and the brackets above is where that the increase goes to. That is one. Now two, since Danny Luque and USPAG's is on the program, I want to ask a question. Can bananas grow in Dominica again to hit the British market or the foreign market?
For sure. Never stop.
Never stop.
St.
for
Lucia,
sure.
St. Lucia and Dominican Republic has never stopped exporting bananas to the UK.
You see, gentlemen, my reason for asking that question is today I listened to the Prime Minister talking about the money, the income that we will be generating from agriculture. And I know that Dominica is a place, all they're talking about is pie in the sky to Dominicans. But there's quite a few young people that know nothing about bananas and banana agriculture and the industry and the income that could come to Dominica. But something I see that could be so effective if this government was a government that was in the interest of poor people. We have the Haitians in Dominica, and the Haitians come and most of them decide to challenge the agriculture sector. But if these old retired farmers had the banana market and they could have a contract with some of the Haitians to work their land, do you believe that the grandchildren today would not be able to benefit something from the agriculture banana industry?
Yes, sir.
Question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. So
Wind up for
it
me.
is
Wind up
clear-
for me. Wind up for me.
Yeah. It is clear for us to see that these people have no interest in nobody in Dominica doing better. And we have to sit one time and have that discussion with some of you guys that have the potential to educate our people how we can do better. Boots on the ground, thank you very much and have a good night.
Thank you very much for calling in. But it's very sad to see, Danny. Most of the banana bills, they were voting the Labour Party right now. And these areas, it's just very sad to see the places like La Plaine and Kalinago Territory and Cassie Bruce, Rosalie, going right back to
A lot of these places,
Marigot,
the
West-
votes have been manipulated by
yeah,
the bribery that takes place with the overseas
St.
Dominicans
Joseph, yeah,
coming into
yeah.
vote.
And
And we need always to keep that in mind.
yeah. And when they take this call quickly. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. John, Danny, Mr. Linton.
Good evening.
Yeah, man. Happy independence to you guys, and I know it's not independence, it's a slavery country. But anyway, Mr. Edward LeBlanc, we have to remain his legacy, he was a good man. That was his brainchild for Dominica to bring people independent, to work for themselves, to achieve bananas, agriculture. That was his main focus, to make people live independently and not to go to beg, come to him to beg for any food or any house, any shelter. Yeah, Mr. LeBlanc, may your legacy lives on. God bless you and your family. Yeah, I want to say that diaspora, what they call you guys. You guys are wicked and evil people. You guys.
Hold on.
We're not going down that road.
Tonight, I'm calling no.
We're not going down that
We're not
road
going down that
at
road.
all.
All right. Thank you very much for calling in. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice. Sorry about that. I'm going to apologize on behalf of the party and the radio station for this one. Because tonight our discussion is we are about educating people. Good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice.
Gentlemen, quickly,
Yes.
blessings to you all.
Blessings.
For years, I'm trying to articulate that. Maybe I'm not getting my point across. All roads lead to Rome. That's why the criminal is messing up every other industry and let the passport industry thrive. They say in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. So in the land of poverty, the one who holds the country purse, the criminal, he is king. So no wonder agriculture had to die. The man deliberately and systematically impoverishing the people. So automatically they become disempowered. Now 9 out of 10 death announcements, the criminal naming it. Or you know that this man is diabolic. He's devilish. He's greedy. The more he takes, the less he has. And the man have crippled Dominica. Now every young boy and girl All they know is the criminal. They can't remember the days of green gold. I hear fellas say, oh, Skerrit giving us silver, calling Matt. Well, all you have to offer us gold for us to remove Skerrit there. We had green gold. Everybody used to make money. Fisherman, baker, vendor, because the farmer was king. And now you're giving man marijuana to smoke rather than creating an industry from the ganja. And these criminals are sitting there. But when I watch them, I want to curse them. When I see them, I return whips for them. Have a blessing, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Yes, let me just remind farmers of Salisbury utilizing the Petit Makushi Road, the Salisbury Heights Road. If you have to go to Kaum on Saturday, the road will be blocked from Friday night because the farmers trying to do something on the road up in the Mon area going on to Petit Makushi. So the road will be blocked up to the concrete pavement in Hoja. So Saturday, all farmers who want to assist on the road, you can join us up in Mon. Just come up there if your shovels, your whatever you have. Just join. The crew will be up there in the Mon area repairing the Salisbury Farm Access Road.
Yes, I wanted to make a brief observation about the World Creole Music Festival when I reflected, what happened this year. So I wrote, the World Creole Music Festival, a treating and bribery festival. For the past decade or so, the World Creole Music Festival has progressively evolved into a world-class bribery and treating festival mainly targeting Dominica Labour Party faithfuls at home and abroad. Labour Member of Parliaments loaded with hundreds of complimentary tickets in hand for selected party supporters. One wonders, how can such an event ever generate a profit margin when 13,000 free tickets are given away? Making his debut performance at the World Creole Music Festival, Prime Minister Skerrit took to the stage to perform his off-tempo AM to PM World Boss rendition, hoping that his supporters, in their drunken stupor, and himself would forget about the international breaking news of impending passport bans for Dominican nationals. Founding creators of the World Creole Music Festival must be wincing in their agony to witness the now recent bastardization of a once world-class event downgraded into a yearly bribery and treating event of the Dominica Labour Party, where the latest figures suggest that up to 13,000 free complimentary tickets are handed out to party faithfuls through their Labour Party MPs. With Ross University gone, bananas gone, tourism at its lowest visitor arrival figures in the entire Caribbean, agriculture under steady decline, the Dominica Labour Party now has its sights on the destruction of a once premier event, the World Creole Music Festival.
Danny, the festival, I was there the first time in 97.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
97, right?
Yeah, 97 and 98. I think I was one of the first persons in the festival with a big Dominica flag. That was at the Carnival City. I was we were working at DBMC at the time, and it was about a season ticket was $120 at that time. Mm-hmm. Now season ticket is for $400 and something, almost $500. But the type of value you got from money, Creole, just Creole, it's about Creole, promoting the Creole language, the Creole culture, the cuisine, everything. That's what they got. And in 2003 or 2004, the Flo started the World Creole in the Park. I performed at the first Creole in the Park as a poet. And when you had the scale band from St. Lucia, but you had Creole, the atmosphere, you had the Casas and the Laissez Glons and the Turbo Combos and the Gramax and Exile One and Mammouth. They went from Bells Cambo, Black Affairs. You had that type of environment. And you had the people at the front, like Mr. G and all the others, Eddie, Toulon, Wadix, and all these people, you had a product. And right now it has been watered down to, it has been, you say bastardized, I say it has been feminized. The Creole Music Festival has been feminized. It's loud. I went to the Creole Music Festival Saturday night, and I was very much impressed with the performance of Gordon Henderson. There's a Creole All-Star from the French Islands, All-Star band. And before, there's another band that performed and also buried someone. And that's when the rain started and I left. Before I would go to all the activities, Tikai Creole, I didn't know, or T Villas Creole, I didn't know, there was nothing me to go to. I didn't even take my son. The vibes was not there. They have destroyed that unique product. You would go to the Creole Festival and you would have also hear the Jimbing and the Mazuk, the band from the Petit Savan Jingping band, the one from Girardel. They would be there performing even on the side or in between the acts. They would be on center stage or World Creole Music Festival. And right now, and I'm saying that for people to begin to understand what we have right now is not World Creole Music Festival. I hear people talking about changing the name. We don't have to change the name. We have to bring back, add value to that unique product and ensure that we enhance it. The disrespect of Chubby, we heard the discussion about Chubby who had to play one more song and he couldn't play it. I know Gordon is a professional in the walk up because Trio, you could hear the beat of Trio. That was his last song he had to perform when they called him off stage. But Chubby, they actually pulled the plug on Chubby. I mean, and these things we have to understand where we are. It might be, yes, it might be the right thing to do, but was it the ethical thing to do? You know, disrespecting a legend like that. And these are the type of things, type of discussions we need to have. Encourage young people to write more Kadas music, more folk songs, get more involved. By now, we should have a project where the people of the Karango territory and other farmers planting the Laomi to do the straw hats. So next year, that we will not have the challenge for some people have to buy straw hats from overseas and improvise it because they couldn't get straw hats here.
I was very proud to hear Wadix speaking his mind, speaking clearly, as one of those involved in the Creole Music Festival for many years. He's not afraid to say that some of the dirty music is unacceptable, and I agree with him. Yeah. You know, we can't be scared to talk about, you know, that type of music infiltrating the World Creole Music Festival, and it seems that it's now becoming acceptable. But I want to thank those who speaking out and saying no to it when we have a prime minister seem to be endorsing that sort of music.
But he brought it on the stage.
Well, the point is that everywhere Dominica is being dragged down, you look closely and you'll find the leadership of the ruling party right there. Mm-hmm. And the final thing I want to say tonight is that I want to emphasize the point I raised earlier. Roosevelt Skerritt is the man who is responsible for killing the Citizenship by Investment program because of the abuse of the program, including the granting of citizenship to individuals who are known to pose a risk to countries like the UK and others around the world. That is why we had visa restrictions imposed on us. It was not because people in Dominica were asking for disclosure of the numbers. It was not because we were telling the government that it should strictly follow the due diligence procedures and be guided by the results of the due diligence exercise. It was not because Lennox Linton was on CBS News and he was asked whether the Citizenship by Investment program in Dominica is like a mail order because people don't have to come to Dominica to get their passports or to buy their passports. It had nothing to do with that. No criticism of the program seeking to improve it has resulted in what we have in front of us today, the potential collapse of the scheme. What has happened is Roosevelt Skerritt has abused the scheme for his personal benefit and the benefit of his friends. And what they have done, as we heard and we learned in a recent example, where the due diligence flagged certain individuals from Russia as not being fit to hold Dominican passports, the instruction came through Roosevelt Skerritt's people to issue the passports regardless. When the UK says that they were giving citizenships to individuals known to pose a risk, it's not the UK is not talking about itself. The UK is talking about Dominica. Dominica knew that these people that they were given passports to pose the security risk to the United Kingdom, but they went ahead and issued the passports, notwithstanding the results of the due diligence exercise that indicated they should not have those passports. So it is that sort of reckless conduct by Roosevelt Skerritt and his gang that has endangered the Citizenship by Investment program. And further, the issue of the monies that have been raised from the Citizenship by Investment program, billions of dollars, sitting in the hands and under the control of foreigners overseas. How can you have a situation where you have more of your money from the sale of your citizenship on the international market in private hands than you have in the treasury of the Commonwealth of Dominica? It means that you're no longer in control of your affairs. Other people have more of Dominica's money doing what they want with it that Dominica has under the control of its parliament and its government. It is totally and absolutely unacceptable. And Roosevelt Skerritt is the one who is responsible for that. So he is the one who has wrecked the scheme. He is the one who you can say clearly will be taking bread from the mouths of people because of the significant impact that the loss of CBI revenue is likely to have on the economy of Dominica. Let's not have any wool pulled over our eyes at this season of independence where we have already lost our country to foreigners, and staring us straight in the face is that responsibility of reclaiming our country, of rescuing our country, pulling it out from where Roosevelt Skerritt has dragged it into for his personal gain and the benefit of his friends. It is time to stop it, and it is time for the people of Dominica to stand in that regard. That is all I wish to be on the minds of the people of Dominica at this time, 45 years after we gained our independence from Great Britain.
Yes.
Thank you, Hector. Thank you, Danny.
Yes,
Thank you, Dominica. God bless you all the time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lennox Hinton, our president, for joining in. Mr. Danny Lugie from the Rosenhof constituency. Let me let you know, tomorrow morning after Rise and Shine, Pastor Randy Rodney will be interviewing Mr. O.J. Serafin after Rise and Shine tomorrow. So join him for that tomorrow. Let me also reach out and say good evening to Mr. Ferdinand Parillon. He's one of the young Mr. O.J. Serafin, and I think two others. Mr. Bowers is still alive in Canada, I think. Mm-hmm. And there's a Mr. Frederick from the Cayuga territory. I don't know if he passed away. I think that is the four remaining members who were part of Labour Party 1975 team who ran. And Mr. Tavernier ran. He didn't win his seat, but he was part of that team. Mr. Tavernier from the Soufriere constituency, I think he ran as well, and didn't win his seat, but he's still alive. Let me just reach out to them. They made history because they took Dominica into the independence. Remember, the Declaration for Independence started in Salisbury in 1976. The 27th of August, I think, started in Salisbury. So that's why Salisbury is the bedrock of Dominica's independence. And I just want to say good evening to everybody from Salisbury, Kulibistri, and Monrachet. Don't forget to join us next week on The Workers' Voice. Yes, tomorrow is independence. 45 years, 23 years on the labor. Are we truly independent? Are we truly independent? Under the theme, Anno Celebrate. What are we celebrating, Dominicans? Good evening. Stay fine, stay well. Enjoy the cultural gala tomorrow afternoon. Those of you going to the military parade tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Be safe on the road as well. And those of us you going to do different activities on the weekend. I think they're putting back Heritage Day on Sunday. Sunday the 5th will be in Woodfordale, and I think Mr. Johnny Skerritt will be honored as the cultural elder. I remember Johnny dancing his ballet and quadrille years ago, so I just want to reach out and wish him congratulations, and all the others taking part in the independence celebration. Also, tomorrow there will be people getting awards, meritorious awards. Yeah, Mr. Adler Hamlet and all the others who will be receiving awards. Good evening to Asa Bantan. I met him today, and some others. I don't have the list. Good evening to you. Congratulations. God bless you. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. And those of you, always remember to find a place of worship. If it's on Saturday, Sunday, find a place of worship for thanking the Most High to see you for another week, and also to ask Him for the continued guidance to see a new week. God bless you. Have a wonderful weekend.
Ouais, pas jamais ça, Dominique, t'es tout comme ça. Ouais, pas jamais ça, Dominique, n'y va pas ça. Ouais, pas jamais ça, Dominique, n'y côté comme ça. À nous, baiser nous, pour développer pays nous. Levez, Dominique, levez, pas quitter l'île tomber.
Levez, Dominique. Essayons pas wadi. Levez, Dominique. Pas que des lits tombés. À nous travailler pour lever, Dominique, nous.
Pour your pays, Dominique, ou bien béni. Ou mi bella bien, et mi ota guapo. Ou se met condamn. Ou ni bel voye kaki en white kubuli. Leve Domini, leve, ite li tombe, leve Domini, leve, ise yomba wazi,
Levez, Dominique. Levez, pas que des lits tombés. À nous travailler pour lever, Dominique, nous.
Dominique Duval, ini berklete.
Nous caoué bien, en bas la main, bon Dieu. Ou ba nou ranande ma sepinasio fontaine, oh délice pour ba oui à nous.
Leve Dominique nous, leve Dominique,
Leve,
ite li tombe,
leve,
leve Dominique.
leve, pas
Yomba wazi, leve Dominique,
leve, pas que li tombe. À nous travailler pour lever Dominique nous.
Dominique écoutez,
Dominique c'est ça non.
à nous pas passif.
Et puis fait politique détruit nous. Nous n'ayons obligation pour dire lever Dominique.
À nous travailler ensemble, pas quitter descendre par la terre.
I dey bite in my tongue, boy.
Leve, pas quitter li tomber,
Leve Dominique.
leve, ise yomba wazi, leve Dominique,
Pas que lui tomber, à nous travailler pour lever Dominique nous.
leve Dominique,
Leve,
pas quitter li tomber,
leve, leve.
Dominique,
Essayons pas wadi, leve Dominique. Pas que lui tomber, à nous travailler pour.
à nous travailler pour lever Dominique nous.
Yes, good evening to Bernadette Ambo Vidal, who sang that song, and backed up by Mrs. Rosema Vidal Burton. So Mrs. Bernie Ambo sang that song, and she was being backed up by Rosema Vidal Burton, written by yours truly, Hector John. Happy Independence, everybody. Stay well, be safe. God bless you. Have a wonderful weekend.
issue regulations, which then go to public comment, which then go back and get rewritten, and then they'll issue rules, which then often generate lawsuits, which end up back in the courts. And so there are ongoing efforts to rein this in, but it's been challenging, and it will probably continue to be so.
Kimberly, when you talk to people around you, you talk to a lot of people when you're there on Marketplace. What do they say to you about their faith in cryptocurrencies now, after seeing what's happened with